This is not a hair video. This is basically telling you a little background about me. That way I can kind of explain why I didn't make my third Goddess Detox Pearl video. Um, I have depression and I have, what's it called? Endometriosis, which I have already told y'all about. Haven't really described about my depression. I knew I had both of my problems from a very early age because I had very bad periods growing up. Like when I mean bad, I mean not being able to go to school, like severely bad. So I already knew something was wrong from early age. I couldn't really have sex like that because it was always painful. It was always something wrong. Um, when I turned, the first thing I was officially diagnosed with was my mental situations, which was, where did it go? One second. I know I watched it. Plans may now include private home aids and rides to medical appointments. Most plans also include dental, vision, hearing, and prescription drug coverage. To get the benefits you deserve, call the Medicare Coverage Helpline now.
Hi, I'm Joe Namath. I called the Medicare Coverage Helpline and they instantly advised me that I wasn't getting all the benefits I deserved. They explained I could get a plan that includes dental and prescription coverage, as well as new coverage for private home aids and rides to medical appointments. If you want to find out what you deserve, call the number on your screen now. It's free. You'll be happy you called, I guarantee it.
Call to see if you can save money and get more benefits now. Don't delay.
Alright.
Call now.
So where was I? Okay, the first thing I was diagnosed with was bipolar and depression. I was 21, or was that? No, I was 22. I had left the military the year prior to this, and I was living with my brother. I had bad crying spells. I didn't want to go out. It was basically what I was dealing with when I was a kid. But the thing about when I was a kid, my parents worked a lot. You know, my brother was on a football team, and they let my brother go out more than I did. So when I had my crying spells and I was going through my depression when I was a child, no one was really in the house to realize that I was going through what I was going through. So now I'm living with my brother in Huntsville, Alabama, and it's getting really bad to the point where I'm sitting down with my brother and his friends and I'm busting out crying for no apparent reason. Like it's irritating my brother at this point. Um I moved out there in December around the time my birthday rolled around, which is June. Um my brother had enough and he was just like, yeah, go spend some time with your mom. When I got to my mom, she realized how I was. She was like, yeah, you're not going back. My mom is really one of them type of old Korean people that she'll control you on every type of thing you do. So she officially was like, yeah, you're not going back. Blase, blase. So from that point, I'm in my mother's house. It gets only worse. At this point, my father is living in New Orleans. My mom rushes us to New Orleans and she's like, yeah, we're going to go see a doctor in New Orleans because, I can't deal with it by myself, blase, blase. Get to New Orleans, they put me in a mental hospital for 2 weeks. First time I ever go. I get diagnosed, and that's the first time ever getting diagnosed with anything like that. So that's what was my whole diagnosing with the mental thing. Couple years later, well, about 2 years ago or 3 years ago, before I met my husband, I got somebody that was very close to me passed away, and then it went back to the mental hospital. This was my third time going back. No, third or yeah, my third time. Um, the next time, what people don't realize, A lot of people say strike three, you're out. And mental hospital is really not strike three, it's kind of strike four. The last time I went was kind of strike three for me. And when it's strike three for you, depending on how, most of the time when you go to the mental hospital, it'll keep you normally for 2 weeks, unless you have a program you're already connected to, or somebody that's willing to say, okay, they're in my program, they're taking medicine. No, 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 no. At this point in time, I wasn't taking no medicine because when I left the very first hospital in New Orleans, they had me on very, very bad medicine. Where if anybody on here and they know anything about depression and they got depression, well, got diagnosed at an later age and got on medicine at an later age, you will start realizing that the medicine they put you on, if it's not for you or if it does not work well with your body, it'll make you feel like you're not yourself. So after I think the first year and a half of me taking it, I physically took myself off this pill. And it wasn't really that hard for me because at the point in time, the pill was making me gain weight. I had literally, from the time I got it in probably like no October or like, no, matter of fact, I got it around October. It was around my mom's birthday. By the time I think New Year's rolled around, I think I gained about 30 pounds. And I was 20, at this point, I'm what, 22, halfway mark, 22. And I have never weighed more than probably 140, 150 in my entire life. And I really don't think it was even 150. I think it was like 140. And it's when I moved to New Orleans when I was younger. I'll tell you a story about that later. But yeah, I lived in New Orleans when I was younger. But yeah, it was like back then. So at this point, for me to be that big, and there was people in my family that was like literally looking at me, was like, bitch, you getting up there. And one of the big influence in my life, or I was always around, was my mom. My mom, by the time she had me, like I remember growing up, my mom had fibrosis at an early age for me. So at an early age, my mother, lost her parents. So she was very strict on me. Like I remember, like once I got big, my mom was one of the main people. Oh, you're getting fat. You need to do this. You need to do that. But what a lot of people know that if you're ever on mental pills, like the first ones is like stressed out and messed up, and you don't feel like yourself. You literally, like people around you, if they know who you are, you literally feel like a different person. So, yeah. So my mother kept on saying I was fat, big, and at that point, I was like, you know what? I might as well get out this point. I don't like the pills. I don't like the way they're making me feel. They're making me feel not myself, blase, blase. I was like, it's about that time. It's so about that time to get off these pills. Got off the pills. If anybody sees my videos that know me, this is around the time I end up going to Atlanta Metro. Ironically, I went to Atlanta Metro. Okay, between Atlanta Metro now, I moved in with my ex-boyfriend, which is somebody I lived out in New Orleans. Again, I was always in New Orleans. My dad lived out there. So,
How is this the only way that you thought to tell her this? This is creepy as.
So you don't want to be with me?
No. Honestly, I don't even want to just look at you and say. Are you ready to see what she put on?
I want to see what she put on me.
Let's bring out Melody.
so I'm gonna have to cut a couple seconds out. Well, I'm gonna cut that part out too. So, moved in with my boyfriend, came back home, and I was off the pill for about a year now. I'm like, I'm about to go back to school. But at this point in time, I'm going back to school for pre-medical technology, which is basically stuff for like ultrasounds and stuff. Because at this point, like I already know something's wrong with me. Because I've always been in pain. I can't have sex like normal people. Like I have to be high. I have to be drunk to endure the pain that I have to go through sex. So, like, in my mind, I'm like, I want to do this for me to try to figure out what's wrong with me. At the point in time, I do hair, I do nails. I'm doing hair and nails at the point in time. I'm planning to go to school. And, a lot of people's like, no, you should go for beautician. No, 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 no. Never decide to go. Fast forward, that's why I'm going to school, back to school for beautician, because I should have went when I was there. So I think, let's say school started late August. By the time, is it Independence Day or Memorial Day? There's some holiday that ends up in September. I went to school that Friday. I went to school Friday perfectly fine, comfortable, okay, no pain, no nothing. Saturday night, I went to church. No, Saturday morning, not Saturday. I'm 7 Adventist. Saturday morning, I went to church. That night, I was talking to somebody. He picked me up. We chilled that night or whatever. And then, that night, I end up being in tremendous amount of pain. Like, we did it or whatever. And I was end up after, like, I think halfway towards the end, like, something happened where I was in just so much pain, where I was just like, after a while, let's stop. We watched movies, and I was in so much pain. I was like, you know what? I'm in so much pain right now. I would prefer to be at home in my own element. With me being a mental patient, when I'm going through stuff, I really don't like people around me. I literally just like to be in my own element to, focus through what I'm going through, to get my mindset kind of okay for me to deal with what I'm going through. So I was like, no, let me go home. Let me go home. Let me go home and relax. Let me, be in my own environment. Uh, Fast forward, I get home. It has to be around 10 o'clock. Sorry about that. Don't know what part I was at, but I was at home, and at this point, I stayed home from 10 o'clock that night until probably around 12, 1 o'clock the following day. We go to a Haitian community, and there's a family that had, I think she was about 16, 17 at the point in time, probably a little bit younger. They had a daughter that, the mom was a nurse in Haiti. And I remember my mom, prior to me getting sick, they already had plans to go out. And I hate, like, when I mean, I honestly cannot stand going to the hospital. And it's not like, okay, the environment's bad. I don't like the nurses. I don't like, it's not that at all. Like, I really, like feeling better. Is that growing up, I was always sick and I was always in the hospital. And not to throw shade on people, but I was always in the hospital around people that made me feel even worse to being in the hospital. Like when you feel bad because you're in the hospital, you really don't know what's going on, and then for somebody to put their own burdens on you to make it seem like your problems is causing their problems, it just caused this bad intention of me going to the hospital. So, fast forward to this day, my period was supposed to start probably in another 2, 3 days. So in my mind, physically in my mind, because I told you, like, I've always had pain. So because I'm in pain, I'm just literally going through my mind. I'm like, look, there's nothing going on right now. I'm literally about to, have my period. And when I mean, if I ever sit here and have a long conversation with my mom on this video or any video, she will tell you the whole time I'm in my house, I'm telling you, mommy, there's nothing wrong. I'm fine. My mom is telling me, oh, did he beat you? No, 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 no. I'm like, mommy, I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me. My period's coming on. I have bad cramps. So the next time, so around, like, let's say 12, it gets to the point where I can't walk. My pain is so bad where I can't walk. At this point, I'm like, okay, this is not my period no more. This is something a lot more serious. So after a while, my mom goes out. When she comes home, she sees me literally crawling on the floor. Because after she's like, before she leaves, I'm basically fine. I'm kind of still walking. I'm still kind of, up moving, like, everything's fine. At the certain time, she called. I called her at this point. I'm like, Mommy, I can't stand up no more. I'm in so much pain. I can't stand up no more. I can't physically move. My mom comes in. She comes in, and the family that she went to go, do school shopping with, or I forgot. Yeah, I think shoes. It was shoe shopping. I remember it was shoe shopping. The daughter came in, helped me get to the car. So as I'm walking to the car or whatever, I get to the point where it's like I'm in the car basically crying every bump we go over. I'm screaming my behind off. And my mom just like, it's going to be okay. And she's basically getting mad at me slickly. So this whole time I'm just like, in my own mindset trying to, physically and mentally get over this pain. We get to the hospital. I went to Southern Regionals, and y'all can say all the freak y'all want about Southern Regional, and I will keep on repeating it. I do not care. I absolutely love Southern Regional. They helped me through so many things. Like, I've had 2 surgeries, 1 emergency surgery, 1 planned surgery, all happened at Southern Regional. Now, I'm not gonna lie. When I had my child, I may not plan to go to Southern Regional depending on where I live. I really do plan to move within the next 6 months. So, fast forward, I'm in the hospital. I get there around like 1, maybe 1:30ish too. I get there. I literally waited about 8 hours. My brother has been living with us for a couple of weeks now, and he was at work. And I remember, no, that was the last time, or no, it was the first time too, because he came to the hospital. So I was like, he literally left work to come to the hospital, straight to the hospital, see what's wrong with me. So I'm in the hospital, or whatever, and then as I'm in the hospital, they're like, by the time I get to the back, the lady comes in, I think, the nurse doctors that come in, and she's like, well, I think it's appendicitis, and at this point, my mom is in the room with me. She seems a little bit more calmer at this point. So in my head, I'm like, okay, my mom is telling me, okay, your dad went through when he was 16, blase, 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 blase. So at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm fine. If my dad can go through it, like, I'm stronger than my dad when it comes to hospitals and stuff like this. So if he can go through it, I can go through it. So I'm like, okay, fine. They're like, just to make sure, we're going to run some x-rays, we're going to run some scans, just, to be sure, it's actually your appendicitis that, ruptured. So by the time they're rolling me from the emergency room to where it's at, if you're close to the back of emergency room in Southern Regional, you get there pretty fast. Probably about a good 3 to 4 minute push. You're in the X-ray room area. So by the time we're going back there, I threw up. Before we even get to the X-ray machine area, I threw up. On the way back to the room, I threw up again. At this point, when the nurse sees me throw up, she's like, okay, it has to be appendicitis, because most people, when they have, ruptures, they normally start throwing up and stuff. So I'm like, okay, I'm perfectly fine now. So this is going to be real easy. Like, I'm going to be in, out. So after they do the x-ray or whatever, I guess they was kind of scared because I was literally screaming. Like, at this point, by the time they started to look at me and everything, I'm screaming at the top of my lungs. I'm not comfortable. I'm not, like, it's bad. Like, when I mean it's bad, I'm literally bawling, crying. And I'm the type of person where I can hold pain in. Like, I honestly, when I mean I can hold pain in, I can hold it in to the point where I won't cry. You just see me just, and tears falling out my eyes. At this point, I'm yelling at the top of my lungs. I'm just like, I can't do this no more. Like, literally, I can't do this no more at all. I'm finished. Let's move on. Whatever we got to do, let's go. By the time we get in the room, I promise you, we're not in the room more than 2 to 3 seconds. Lady runs in. Boom. We have to run you to surgery. You're bleeding internally. You're going to surgery right now. Don't worry. Somebody's coming in. They're about to put you in the emergency. At this point, I literally freaked the fuck out. Because prior to this point of her running into my room and telling me I had to be rushed to surgery, it's appendicitis. You have to be rushed to surgery for appendicitis, but it's not that major because it's like it can happen. It's not nothing really too serious. It's not like, oh, you're bleeding internally or, it's affecting your organs or something. But at this point, I'm bleeding so much that they're saying that they can't really see anything because blood is covering everything inside of me. So I'm like, okay. Where's statement? Where's statement? So, we have a lady, a family. If I ever put my wedding pictures up, it's 3 girls. All 3 sisters walked in my wedding. Her family has been around since for years. I think they moved here when I was about 6 or 7. Cause the first time I ever remember actually being around her or being around her family in a long period of time, I was about 8. Somebody had died in our community, and her dad, my mom, and the lady that raised me went to go to the funeral. And since I was a child, I never liked funerals, and it was never. I just don't like people crying on me around me, or just that atmosphere of the mourning. I don't like. So my mom dropped me off at her house. So that's the first time I remember her. And at this point, when all this is going on, my mother's calling her and telling her about the appendicitis and everything. And I remember the last call my mom told her, it was like, she called her and she was just like, can you come up here and pray for us? And I was so scared out of my mind because this is the first time I've ever been old enough to understand I had to literally be physically cut open off of something I don't know what's going on. So it was super scary just to understand this stuff was going on. I remember they roll you into a room. It's like this big room, and it's like just room. It looks like those hospital rooms on TV where it's like a bed and it's a curtain, a bed, a curtain, a bed, a curtain. That's how it was. But at this point, it was nobody else in the room. It was literally just me in the room. And then they let my mom come down and the lady and her husband, and they just prayed for me. And I remember by the time we got in that room, they had put the sleeping pill, I don't know, the sleeping medicine already in me. So I remember I was, going off, just slowly going to sleep as they were praying. By the time I woke up, I just remember being sore down my middle, completely sore. No. What they did was, he was like, I really don't know what happened. He was like, all he told me was you had a cyst that ruptured. He was like, they don't know what time it ruptured, but he was like, you lost about 2 quarts of blood. Like literally, he was like, you lost 2 quarts of blood. So I was like, oh, okay. They showed, I'm not gonna show you the picture. I don't remember. I think I still have it. They showed me a picture of my insides. I've seen pictures like this because my dad had surgeries before. But literally, normally when you see it, it's normally, it looks like the inside of your mouth. It looks like that pink on the inside of your cheek part of your mouth. Imagine if you broke your teeth or something and the whole inside of your mouth is covered with blood. That's what my insides look like. Like literally everything on the inside was covered with blood. And that was weird to me because I've seen other parts of people's bodies and it didn't look so, you know what I'm saying? So like, it just let me know, oh my God, it's crazy shit. At this point, they still don't tell me I have endometriosis. Like that still doesn't cross their mind. That still is not what's going on with this person. So fast forward, probably the next year, AJ was born in March. So around May, or probably around the end of March. No, May. Because my godson was born at the end of March. I was doing my due. And I was by my school at the point in time. And I had this guy I was talking to around my school. Like, he was real cool because I was going to Metro and my mom was a teacher, so I would literally gonna have about 2 or 3 classes per day. And I was there from 8 o'clock in the morning, probably to 8 and 9 o'clock at night because I had to wait for my mom to come pick me up. So a lot of times when I had to do homework and I did not feel like walking to my grandma's house, I'll go crash at his house. He didn't care, do homework, and just be in my own environment because he understood. Like, after a while, I don't like being around people, and it's really because of my mental state. After too many people and I get into my, I feel like I'm in a closed little box, and I just keep on shriveling into this box the more people come around me. So for me to be able to go up and go to his house, I was perfectly fine. At this point in time, I was going through a couple of stuff, and I'm the type of person I screw to calm down or to make me feel better. Went there, I smoked about a blunt and a half. We did it. After we was done, like, it wasn't as bad as the first pain, but it still was about the same area, the same type of texture, the same like pulsating feeling. So when I got my cousin, like I told you, my godson was born around the end of March. My cousin don't live too far from my school. It's about the same distance of me walking to my grandma's house to my cousin's house because she lives up the street. And the way it goes, if you lead apart and you know which way you go, you just split. Because if you take one when you lead apart, it goes straight like this, and the other way go like this. So either way it goes, you can go either to my grandma's house in the same time or my cousin's house in the same time because that's how it works. So at this point, I'm like, I'm gonna watch my cousin because I'm in so much pain. I don't even feel like going back to school to deal with all that extra stuff. I plan on watching my cousin. By the time I get to my cousin's house, I'm at the point where I'm like telling my cousin, okay, I'm in the same amount of pain. It feels like the same amount of pain. No, 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 no. My cousin's like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah. By the time my mom came, I'm literally on the floor, just literally just balled up. My cousin called my mom, and my mom came home and she was like, well, we understand that you don't like to go to the hospital, but you might as well go. Because at this point, you're saying this feel like the same amount of pain. Well, it's not the same, but it feels like the same area, same, way. So you might as well go. And what a lot of people know, like I told you, I've been sick majority of my life. So because I've been sick majority of my life, I have been the type of person, I am my own doctor. I don't want to be like I'm my own doctor, but I am my own doctor. I can tell you if I'm sick, if I'm not sick, if I'm okay, if I'm not okay. And because I've had endometriosis way before this, and I know what the typical endometriosis pain was, this was not it. Because this was the pulsing pain. It literally felt like a heartbeat in my area. And with the endometriosis pain, it literally with it don't. It's not like it's literally a sharp, continuous pain that just like. So I was like, no, it's not the same thing. Can't be the same thing. So when we get to the hospital, they do scans or whatever, and no, matter of fact, this one is the one that ruptured. They was like, it ruptured and the hole was so small that I did not have to rush to do my surgery. And at this point in time, because my very first surgery, I was in school and it kind of messed with my school schedule. Like, it affected me a lot. And I was like, and I literally told the doctor, I was like, at this point, like, if you can tell me, you can give me some pain pills or something and I can go home and I'll be fine, I don't mind. Because I don't want to have surgery right now because I did it last time and it messed up my school surgery. Like, I was at home, like, I barely could do anything. Because, like, literally, I went to school a week after the surgery, but I was still in pain. I was still going through the full motion of my surgery. So I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do it. And it's March. School ends in May. Well, the end of May. So I literally have about 2-3 weeks before school's closing. So I'm like, sir, the pain's not that bad. I know, but he's like, if you can deal with it. And I'm like, yeah, I can deal with it. I have my surgery. I think, matter of fact, I had the surgery the day after my birthday. And I scheduled like that on purpose. He was like, he gave me 2 days. I think he gave me the 20th, or no, he gave me the 19th and 26th. They always give you like a week or whatever. Gave me the day right after my birthday. I went in, had my surgery, and because this time it wasn't so much blood in the area, he was actually able to go in, look around, see what's going on. And that's when they described, told me, it was like, yeah, you have endometriosis. And he never told me, I never knew there was levels or anything until I actually started researching. But so I really don't know what level I have. But as far as I do know, I've had it for at least a good 10 years. I'm 28 right now. And I've had it the first time I remember that I could not physically go to school on the strength of my cycle. I was about 14, 15 years old. So no, matter of fact, I've had it for about good 13 years. And now that I understand what it is about the hormones and stuff, I understand why I have it. Back in high school when they used to serve milk with every meal, my parents didn't really buy juice, so I carried that into my house. So if we didn't have juice, I would drink milk for everything. If I was eating regular, I would drink milk for everything. Now that I've stopped drinking milk, and I've stopped drinking milk for the last about 2 months, I've had a very big improvement on some other stuff I've done that y'all have seen. But I've had a very big improvement. So, like I told you, I just wanted to go on here to give you a story about how everything happened, because most people don't understand what it is to try to deal with depression and endometriosis, and then on top of it, try to do your YouTube video, try to do your pregnancy, take care of your husband, everything. It's a struggle. It's a very big struggle. So I want to tell you about mine.